I think when it comes to this particular IPO, I mean, looking at the analyst reaction, it seems like it's been priced in an incredibly attractive way. 17 times earnings to get access to what you say, Steve, is the most innovative when it comes to battery technology. It's a pretty decent price if you want to get involved here.
And yet it's a very fast-moving space. We've got another expert for you. Tu Li is the founder and managing director of Sino Auto Insights. Tu Li, thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us today. Look, we've talked about some of the positivity around this stock. I want you to be more balanced, actually. What are the risks to this company? Because there are some political risks out there as well, aren't there?
There are quite a few. But what we're seeing is that CATL is committing completely to the European market, investing $7 billion, over $7 billion to build a 100 gigawatt hour factory battery plant there. Now, they also have partnerships in place with GM and Ford in the United States, and that's where the risk is that you're referring to. So although they have global expansion plans, the United States is on hold for now for them.
What we heard today was that the funds would be used for building out a factory in Hungary, and we know that other big companies like BYD also pivoting in that direction in Europe. What do you make of the build-out in a place like Hungary, which of course is a stepping stone to big European markets? Does that spell a much stronger presence in Europe?
Oh, without a doubt. And, with BYD also building manufacturing in Europe, I could see both the EV makers as well as the battery makers, the BYDs and CATLs, building strong presence in Europe and being major players there within a short period of time.
Let me ask you about the technology itself. CATL claimed that its latest battery offers 320 miles of charge on just 5 minutes on the charging station. 320 miles of range, with just 5 minutes on the charging station. What's made them so successful at innovation?
So they're investing heavily in R&D, continuing to invest heavily in R&D, number one. Number two, they have the advantage of scale. They're the largest battery manufacturer in the world, obviously with 38% market share. But also, they are working with most major automakers, which really gives them access to a lot of different technology within the OEMs as well. So they kind of have all the advantages right now because they're working with the Chinese EV makers as well as the legacy automakers.
Is there anybody else in the peer group that has that advantage of sort of getting to see the best of both the Chinese and the Western companies in terms of what they have to offer?
Well, what we're seeing is because of the ultra competitiveness in the China market, the price war in particular, we're seeing the BYDs and the CATLs push each other. We saw BYD during the Shanghai Auto Show show off the megawatt charger or the mega charger. And so they're really that's why a lot of that innovation is happening, because the competition in China is so intense.
I wanted to ask you about the truck ambitions through this subsidiary, because what we've heard from CATL is effectively they're working with a dozen heavy truck, terminal, tractor and heavy equipment manufacturers to develop about 30 battery swap-enabled EVs at this point. What is the potential in that area of the market to try and not just build its share in cars, but also in heavy industry?
So swapping actually lends well to commercial trucking more so than passenger vehicles, because with passenger vehicles, there's a certain amount of unpredictability. But with commercial vehicles, it's a little more predictable where they're going to go, how far they got it to drive. And so there's a huge potential there. But it's also going to take a large investment to build out these swapping stations and then determine who's going to hold on to those batteries on their balance sheet. So,
yeah, that's a good point. Just tell me a little bit about the valuation. All right, we've said a lot of lovely things about this company. It's got a great position at the moment, but it's stunningly competitive at market out there as well. Are you happy with the valuation now? It's had this 17% pop.
Yeah, I think there's still a ton of opportunity and upside. There's still only 50% take rate in China. Now the growth is going to level off a little bit. And so that's why we're seeing the CATLs invest heavily into the international markets. And I think they're going to use Hungary as that beachhead for supplying Europe and parts of Africa, because 100 gigawatt hours is actually quite significant for Europe for now. So,
Can I ask you about some of the pressures here when it comes to being on entity lists? Because effectively, we've still got CATL being placed on the US Department of Defense list in January. The company's been working to try to get off that list. Is that an inhibiting factor for seeing more breadth in terms of shareholding, particularly, say, from American investors?
Oh, without question. The U.S. market is still the second largest passenger vehicle market in the world, number one. And number two, the U.S. capital markets are the largest as well. So I see it as a constraint. I don't see it as something that's going to stop any of their growth or international expansion. I think it's an opportunity that they'll try to revisit and work with the U.S. government on. But they're quite a machine right now in the battery space. So.
We talk a lot about CATL, we talk a lot about BYD when it comes to the Chinese in this space, but there are actually a lot of Chinese EV makers making waves in China. What other companies should investors keep on their radar right now?
So there's a company called Goshen that is invested in by Volkswagen, Calb. Calb has a factory in South Carolina, I believe. And so outside of the Japanese and Koreans, those are just two. There's Eve Energy. Of the top 10, I think the Chinese are 5 or 6 or 7 of the top 10. But let's make sure we understand the scale here, because at 38%, BYD is around 15 to 17%. So those two companies alone take up over 50% market share in the global battery space for EVs.
Tuli, really appreciate you joining us this morning all the way from Michigan. Thanks for either staying up late or waking up early for us. Founder and Managing Director, Sino Auto Insights.